strong mind doesn't beg for respect. It commands it without a word. Build a mind so sharp, so steady, so unshakable, it terrifies weakness. When you master your thoughts, you master your life. But if your mind is fragile, your potential remains trapped. Discipline is your sword. Focus is your shield. Control is your power. Will you train your mind to rise above every fear, every doubt, every noise, or let your mind be controlled by the world? Decide now. The world will respond accordingly. In just a few moments, you'll learn how to build a mind so strong, fear and doubt no longer stand a chance. The power of unwavering self-belief. Most individuals underestimate what exists within their minds, a fortress of unlimited potential waiting to be unlocked. When you possess absolute conviction in your abilities, something remarkable happens. Obstacles dissolve before your very path. Consider what separates those who achieve greatness from those who merely dream about it. Is it intelligence? Resources? Connections? No, those are secondary factors. At its core stands unwavering self-belief, that immovable foundation upon which empires are built. Why does this matter so profoundly? Because your life expands or contracts in direct proportion to the depth of your belief system. When doubt creeps in, possibilities vanish. When certainty takes hold, mountains become molehills. Society constantly attacks you with messages of limitation. Be realistic, they say. Know your place. These invisible chains wrap around your thinking, restricting what you dare to pursue. But what if those limitations exist solely in your imagination? What if, through systematic mental conditioning, you could shatter those barriers forever? Now comes the crucial question. How exactly do you forge this level of unshakable confidence? Begin by auditing every thought that crosses your mind. Become vigilant about what narratives you permit to take residence in your consciousness. Whenever a limiting belief appears, I'm not qualified enough, people like me don't succeed at this. Immediately replace it with its empowering counterpart. Speak to yourself with the conviction of absolute certainty. Make declarations, not suggestions. I am capable becomes I possess exceptional capability. I will try transforms into I will succeed without question. Clarence Augustus Bartlett, a man from Yorkshire who, in 1962, stood before the British Parliament despite having been rejected 17 times previously. What distinguished him? While opponents mocked his humble background as a coal miner's son, Bartlett responded with a statement that silenced the chamber. My father taught me that a man's worth isn't measured by his starting point, but by his unwillingness to accept defeat as final. 6 months later, he passed legislation that transformed educational opportunities for working-class children throughout England. Are you currently accepting limitations that exist only in your mind? Have you confused temporary obstacles with permanent barriers? What extraordinary achievements await once you demolish these artificial constraints? Your potential remains dormant until activated by absolute belief. Notice what happens when you begin operating from unshakable confidence. People respond differently. Some become uncomfortable, even intimidated. They sense something has shifted, something they cannot quite identify. That magnetic certainty becomes a force that both attracts allies and unsettles those committed to mediocrity. When everyone around you settles for average results, but you stand firm in your conviction for excellence, it creates a contrast that can indeed terrify those content with less. Make no mistake, developing this level of self-belief requires deliberate, conscious effort. It won't materialize through passive wishing. Every morning, visualize your success with such vivid detail that your subconscious mind cannot distinguish it from reality. Throughout each day, speak affirmations that reinforce your unstoppable nature. Study the achievements of those who faced greater obstacles, yet prevailed through sheer force of belief. Are you ready to build a mind so powerful that doubt cannot penetrate its walls? Can you commit to this transformation, knowing that once complete, you'll become unrecognizable to those who knew your former self? The journey begins with a decision. Will you continue accepting artificial limitations, or will you embrace the boundless potential that already exists within you? Mastering disciplined daily habits, every extraordinary achievement throughout human history began with something deceptively simple. A commitment to daily disciplines that compound over time. Consider what separates the champions of life from those who merely exist within it. Great minds aren't born superior. They're methodically constructed through consistent, deliberate habits performed day after day, regardless of convenience or comfort. This mental fortitude doesn't appear overnight. It emerges through systematic practice that reshapes not just your capabilities, but your very identity. Why does this habitual approach matter so profoundly? because your mind responds to conditioning exactly like your physical body. Just as muscles strengthen under resistance, mental toughness develops through deliberate challenge. The ancient wisdom holds eternally true. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then becomes not an occasional act, but a consistent habit. When others observe someone who executes with machine-like precision, regardless of circumstances, it creates a presence that intimidates through its sheer reliability. Those who surrender to momentary feelings find themselves perpetually intimidated by those who operate on principle rather than impulse. How do you implement this transformative approach? Begin by establishing non-negotiable rituals that form the foundation of your day. Rise at 5 a.m. while others sleep. Dedicate the first hour to mental conditioning, reading material that stretches your thinking, meditation that centers your focus, journaling that clarifies your intentions. Protect this sacred time as if your future depends upon it, because it absolutely does. Next, identify one uncomfortable action you've been avoiding and complete it before noon each day. This deliberate confrontation with discomfort reprograms your neurological response to challenge. Hiroshi Yamaoka transformed a struggling Tokyo manufacturing company into an international powerhouse. When questioned about his extraordinary rise, Yamaoka revealed that for 12 years without exception, he devoted 90 minutes every morning to studying international markets before his competitors even arrived at their offices. While they operated on reactive impulse, he executed with strategic precision. My advantage wasn't intelligence, he once explained to shareholders, but rather disciplined consistency when everyone else permitted themselves excuses. Are you currently allowing your potential to remain dormant through inconsistent effort? Have you convinced yourself that motivation must precede action, rather than understanding that disciplined action creates motivation? What extraordinary transformation awaits when you commit to excellence as a standard, rather than an occasional visitor? When your daily disciplines become unshakable, something remarkable happens. Average people become uncomfortable in your presence. They sense your commitment exposes their excuses. Your consistency highlights their compromise. Most individuals float through life, responding to whatever feels convenient in the moment, surrendering their potential on the altar of comfort. But when you develop rituals that override temporary feelings, you cultivate a mind that operates according to principles rather than preferences. Make no mistake, this level of discipline initially feels uncomfortable, even unnatural. Society celebrates spontaneity and instant gratification. Swimming against this powerful current requires conviction that transcends cultural norms. Each morning will present the same fundamental choice: temporary comfort or permanent greatness. The decision might seem small in isolation, but these daily choices accumulate into the very foundation of your character. Can you commit to establishing 3 non-negotiable disciplines beginning tomorrow morning? Will you protect these rituals with the same vigilance you would guard your most valuable possession? Remember that greatness never emerges from sporadic effort, but rather from consistent, principled action performed with unwavering commitment. The mind that terrifies through its strength is precisely the mind that refuses to negotiate with weakness. The iron will of persistence. Something remarkable distinguishes those who merely dream from those who transform dreams into reality. An unyielding persistence that refuses surrender, regardless of circumstances. Consider any achievement of significance throughout history. Beneath its surface lies a foundation, built from countless rejections, failures, and setbacks that would have destroyed someone with ordinary determination. This capacity to continue forward despite overwhelming evidence suggesting defeat creates a presence that genuinely terrifies opposition. When someone knows that nothing will stop your advance, not rejection, not failure, not time itself, they recognize an unstoppable force. Why does this persistent mindset separate extraordinary achievers from everyone else? Because most individuals mistakenly interpret failure as an endpoint rather than a necessary component of success. They surrender precisely when breakthrough hovers just beyond sight. Study any significant accomplishment and discover the same fundamental truth. Success generally arrives one step beyond where most people quit. Those who internalize this wisdom develop immunity against discouragement that mystifies average observers. Their resilience creates an aura of inevitability that opponents find profoundly unsettling. How does one cultivate this level of unbreakable persistence? Begin by reframing every failure as invaluable data rather than personal rejection. When obstacles appear, immediately ask, what lesson must I extract from this experience? Next, Develop what psychologists call explanatory style, the narrative you construct following setbacks. Instead of globalizing failure, isolate it specifically. Instead of seeing permanence, recognize temporality. This cognitive restructuring transforms disappointment from crushing weight into strategic intelligence. Margaret Sullivan revolutionized American healthcare systems despite being rejected by 17 consecutive hospital boards. When finally questioned about her extraordinary persistence, Sullivan revealed she maintained a rejection journal documenting every objection encountered. Each no provided another piece of information about resistance points requiring address, she explained. Rejections weren't personal insults, but rather invaluable market research. 2 decades later, her methodology had transformed administrative systems in over 40% of metropolitan hospitals nationwide. Are you currently allowing temporary setbacks to define your permanent identity? Have you confused normal resistance with evidence of impossibility? What breakthrough awaits just beyond your current threshold for disappointment? When your persistence becomes unbreakable, something fascinating occurs. People respond with either profound respect or noticeable discomfort. Your refusal to accept conventional limitations challenges their own surrender points. Most individuals construct elaborate justifications for abandoning difficult pursuits, creating the comforting illusion that success was impossible, rather than simply demanding extraordinary persistence. Your continued advance, despite identical obstacles, dismantles their protective narrative. Remember that persistence doesn't mean blindly repeating failed approaches. Rather, it means maintaining unwavering commitment to your destination while continuously adjusting your route based on feedback. Edison's 10,000 unsuccessful attempts weren't failures. They were essential steps eliminating what wouldn't work. His mind grew stronger with each apparent setback, eventually developing resilience that transcended normal human limitations. Will you commit to persisting through your next 10 rejections without surrendering your vision? Can you transform disappointment from emotional devastation into strategic intelligence? The mind that terrifies through its strength is precisely the mind that treats obstacles as nothing more than information, valuable data points, guiding necessary adjustments rather than signals to surrender. Harnessing the mastermind principle throughout history, something profound separates individuals who achieve modest success from those who transform entire industries, nations, or artistic domains. Their ability to harness collective intelligence through strategic alliance. Consider the fundamental limitation within even the most brilliant human mind: perspective constraint. No individual, regardless of genius, can perceive every possibility, identify every opportunity, or overcome every obstacle through isolated thinking. Those who recognize this truth and strategically unite complementary intellects create exponential rather than additive results. This capacity to orchestrate mental synergy produces outcomes that genuinely terrify conventional thinkers. Why does this principle generate such extraordinary advantage? Because when minds unite in perfect harmony toward common purpose, something metaphysical emerges, intelligence beyond the mere sum of individual contributions. Look carefully at any revolutionary breakthrough and discover the same pattern. Rarely does transformation emerge from solitary genius, but rather through the creative combustion of diverse perspectives focused on shared objectives. Those who master this principle effectively multiply their mental capabilities while competitors remain constrained by individual limitation. How does one effectively implement this transformative approach? Begin by conducting honest inventory of your intellectual and experiential strengths alongside your corresponding weaknesses. Identify precisely where your thinking requires complementary perspective. Next, deliberately seek individuals whose cognitive strengths align with your deficiencies while offering reciprocal value through your own expertise. But mere association proves insufficient. You must establish operational harmony through shared purpose, mutual respect, and systematic collaboration. Schedule regular mastermind sessions with clearly defined objectives and structured discussion protocols. Alexander Westbrook transformed Australia's struggling agricultural sector through mastermind implementation. Rather than attempting isolated innovation, Westbrook assembled monthly symposiums uniting meteorologists, soil scientists, equipment engineers, distribution specialists, and economic forecasters. Each participant viewed identical challenges through entirely different perceptual frameworks, he later explained. Solutions emerged, not from individual brilliance, but from collision between diverse viewpoints. Within 5 years, his collaborative methodology had increased national production yields by 73% during the worst drought cycle in recorded history. Are you currently attempting complex achievement through isolated thinking? Have you mistaken independence for strength rather than recognizing interdependence as multiplicative advantage? What breakthrough possibilities remain invisible due to your perspective limitations? When you successfully harness mastermind dynamics, something remarkable happens. Conventional competitors become genuinely disturbed by your accelerated progress. They observe your organization solving problems with uncanny efficiency while they remain trapped within singular viewpoint constraints. Most individuals operate from ego protection that resists external input, interpreting collaboration as admission of inadequacy rather than strategic amplification. Your willingness to synthesize diverse perspectives creates operational velocity that appears almost supernatural to isolated thinkers. Remember that effective mastermind implementation requires careful participant selection. Seek individuals who combine intellectual excellence with genuine desire for mutual success. Avoid personality conflicts that generate friction rather than creative spark. Establish clear operational guidelines ensuring balanced contribution, respectful discourse, and systematic implementation of emergent insights. The mastermind represents not casual association, but rather strategic alliance toward extraordinary achievement. Can you identify 3 individuals whose mental strengths would complement your limitations? Will you initiate mastermind formation with clear purpose, structured process, and mutual advantage? The mind that terrifies through its strength is precisely the mind that transcends individual limitation through strategic intellectual alliance, conquering fear through deliberate action. Something remarkable distinguishes individuals who achieve greatness from those who merely contemplate it: their relationship with fear. Consider what truly separates legendary figures from ordinary individuals sharing identical circumstances. Is it absence of fear? Absolutely not. Those who accomplish extraordinary feats experience identical emotional responses as everyone else. Their distinguishing quality lies in their behavioral response to fear, moving directly toward rather than away from what creates discomfort. This counterintuitive approach builds psychological immunity that appears almost superhuman to conventional observers. Why does this methodology create such profound advantage? Because fear represents nothing more than unmastered territory, psychological terrain your mind hasn't yet conquered through experience. Every capability you currently possess began as unfamiliar activity generating discomfort. Those who systematically expand their comfort zones through deliberate discomfort accelerate personal evolution, while others remain confined within self-imposed limitations. When someone observes an individual who consistently moves toward rather than away from challenge, it creates presence that genuinely unnerves through its apparent fearlessness. How does one implement this transformative approach? Begin by identifying your current fear inventory: activities, situations, or conversations generating discomfort. Rank these from moderate to severe psychological resistance. Next, establish progressive exposure protocol, beginning with manageable challenges while systematically advancing toward higher resistance activities. Commit to completing one fear-inducing action daily, understanding that the psychological benefit emerges not from outcome, but from action itself. Document each experience, noting the typical pattern: anticipatory anxiety far exceeding actual discomfort during execution. Victoria Pemberton transformed British telecommunications despite having once struggled with debilitating social anxiety. When questioned about her extraordinary rise from back-office analyst to industry pioneer, Pemberton revealed her discomfort curriculum: deliberate weekly experiences designed specifically to expand psychological capability. Each Thursday afternoon for 5 years, I scheduled precisely what terrified me most, she later explained to industry executives: public presentations, confrontational negotiations, media interviews, advancing systematically through progressive challenge. This methodical comfort zone expansion enabled leadership capacity that competitors found genuinely intimidating. Are you currently avoiding experiences essential for your development? Have you mistaken temporary discomfort for genuine danger, rather than recognizing fear as growth indicator? What extraordinary capabilities remain dormant behind your avoidance patterns? When you consistently move toward rather than away from fear, something fascinating occurs. The psychological resistance preceding action diminishes through repeated exposure. Each experience demonstrating survival despite discomfort reconditions your neurological threat detection system. Most individuals construct elaborate avoidance mechanisms, preserving temporary comfort while sacrificing long-term capability. Your willingness to embrace short-term discomfort for long-term expansion creates accelerated evolution that conventional thinkers find genuinely unsettling. Remember that courage never emerges from emotional absence, but rather from behavioral persistence despite emotional resistance. True psychological strength develops not from avoiding triggers, but from systematic desensitization through deliberate exposure. Each fear-inducing experience successfully navigated becomes neurological evidence, expanding your perception of capability. This accumulated evidence eventually transforms your fundamental identity from someone avoiding challenge to someone energized by it. Will you commit to identifying 3 specific fears currently limiting your potential? Can you establish progressive exposure protocol, systematically confronting each limitation? The mind that terrifies through its strength is precisely the mind that interprets fear not as warning to retreat, but rather as invitation to advance, moving consistently toward rather than away from psychological resistance. The strategic power of silence within our constantly chattering world, something truly remarkable, distinguishes those who command genuine respect from those merely seeking attention. Their strategic relationship with silence. Consider what separates individuals who genuinely influence others from those who simply make noise. Is it eloquence, charisma, volume? No, these are secondary characteristics. At its core stands the disciplined power of intentional silence, that space between thoughts where true wisdom emerges and genuine strength reveals itself. Why does this deliberate restraint generate such profound advantage? Because in a society addicted to constant expression, those who master selective silence develop extraordinary observational intelligence. While others frantically broadcast half-formed opinions, the strategically silent individual absorbs critical information, identifies patterns, and speaks only when genuine value can be added. This creates an unnerving presence where words, when finally delivered, carry unmistakable weight precisely because they emerge from careful consideration rather than impulsive reaction. How does one cultivate this formidable mental discipline? Begin by implementing the fundamental rule: never speak simply to fill silence. When conversation pauses, resist the societal programming demanding immediate sound. Instead, become comfortable within that open space, recognizing it as opportunity for deeper observation. Next, establish personal response protocols. Before speaking, mentally evaluate whether your contribution improves upon silence. Ask, does this add genuine value? Have I fully considered alternative perspectives? What might I learn by listening longer? This disciplined filtering process transforms casual communication into strategic advantage. Rajiv Chandrasekhar revolutionized international diplomacy through his legendary contemplative pause. While negotiating critical trade agreements between competing Asian nations, Chandrasekhar would frequently remain silent for 45 seconds after opposing representatives finished speaking. The strategic void created something remarkable, a colleague later revealed. Adversaries uncomfortable with silence would invariably continue speaking, feeling critical information they had intended to withhold. This methodical restraint ultimately secured economic concessions competitors had previously declared non-negotiable. Are you currently diminishing your influence through impulsive expression? Have you confused quantity of words with quality of impact? What strategic advantages await when you release the compulsion to fill every conversational space? When your relationship with silence becomes strategic rather than uncomfortable, something fascinating occurs. Others begin associating your words with uncommon significance. They unconsciously recognize the deliberate consideration preceding your expression. Most individuals speak from reactive impulse, broadcasting thoughts the moment they form without allowing sufficient maturation. Your intentional restraint creates communication that emerges not from emotional reaction, but from comprehensive perspective, generating gravitas that conventional communicators find genuinely unsettling. Remember that strategic silence does not mean permanent withdrawal, but rather selective contribution. The goal isn't becoming uncommunicative, but rather extraordinarily intentional. Study carefully those rare individuals whose words carry unmistakable weight. You'll invariably discover minds that speak not from compulsion, but from carefully cultivated insight. Their restraint creates mental space where wisdom flourishes while impulsivity withers. Will you commit to implementing strategic silence within your next 3 significant conversations? Can you resist the societal pressure demanding constant expression? The mind that terrifies through its strength is precisely the mind that speaks not from neurotic compulsion, but from strategic intention. delivering words weighted with substance rather than merely filled with sound. The discipline of singular focus throughout human achievement, something profound separates those who accomplish extraordinary results from those perpetually busy yet producing little. Their relationship with attention, consider what distinguishes individuals who transform industries, create revolutionary innovations, or master complex domains. Is it superior intelligence, more hours worked, access to greater resources? While these factors contribute, beneath them lies something more fundamental: the capacity for sustained, uninterrupted focus directed towards singular objectives. This mental discipline creates momentum that scattered minds find absolutely mystifying. Why does this concentrated approach generate such extraordinary advantage? Because attention represents the ultimate non-renewable resource. Where focus flows, results inevitably follow. Those who scatter mental energy across countless initiatives advance each minimally, while those channeling identical effort towards singular objectives create exponential progress through momentum and depth. When someone observes an individual whose attention remains utterly unshakable despite endless distraction, it creates presence that genuinely intimidates through its sheer intensity. How does one develop this level of concentrated mental power? Begin by recognizing the fundamental truth: multitasking represents not efficiency, but systematic ineffectiveness. The neurological research proves conclusively that attention switching destroys productivity while creating illusion of accomplishment. Implement time-blocking methodology. Dedicate uninterrupted periods exclusively to your most significant objective with all communication devices disabled. Start with 30-minute focus blocks, gradually extending to 90-minute deep work sessions. During these periods, develop almost religious intolerance for interruption, treating your attention as sacred territory requiring fierce protection. Eliza Thornton revolutionized American architectural design despite entering the field with minimal formal education. When questioned about her extraordinary rise from drafting assistant to industry innovator, Thornton revealed her sacred hours methodology. For 30 years without exception, I protected the hours between 5 o'clock and 9 o'clock. I am as utterly inviolable, she explained. While competitors fragmented attention across meetings, correspondences, and interruptions, I channeled 4 hours of absolute concentration daily toward mastery. This accumulated deep work ultimately generated design innovations that established new standards across the industry. Are you currently diluting your potential through chronic attention fracturing? Have you confused perpetual busyness with genuine productivity? What extraordinary development awaits when you channel your scattered mental energy toward concentrated progress? When your capacity for sustained focus becomes exceptional, something remarkable happens. You accomplish in weeks what scattered minds require months to produce. This accelerated progress often appears almost supernatural to conventional observers. Most individuals bounce frantically between tasks, communications, and distractions, creating perpetual motion without meaningful advancement. Your disciplined concentration generates momentum that transforms difficult challenges into conquered territory through sheer focused persistence. Remember that attention management supersedes time management in productive significance. Protect your cognitive resources with the same vigilance you would guard financial wealth. Recognize interruption not as inevitable workplace reality, but as catastrophic productivity theft. Establish firm boundaries around your most valuable possession, your capacity for undivided attention directed toward significant objectives. This mental discipline ultimately distinguishes extraordinary producers from perpetually busy underperformers. Can you identify your single most significant objective deserving concentrated focus? Will you establish sacred time blocks with religious protection against interruption? The mind that terrifies through its strength is precisely the mind that directs sustained attention towards singular objectives, while others fragment their potential across endless distraction. The art of strategic visualization. Something remarkable distinguishes individuals who transform possibilities into realities from those who merely contemplate potential: their relationship with mental imagery. Consider what separates those who consistently achieve ambitious objectives from equally talented individuals who routinely fall short. Is it greater effort, superior strategy, enhanced resources? While these factors contribute, beneath them lies something more fundamental: the disciplined practice of systematic visualization. so vivid it programs the subconscious mind for inevitable achievement. This mental conditioning creates certainty that conventional thinking finds genuinely disturbing. Why does this visualization approach generate such profound advantage? Because your subconscious operating system makes no fundamental distinction between vividly imagined experience and physical reality. Those who harness this neurological phenomenon effectively program their internal navigation system toward specific objectives with extraordinary precision. When someone observes an individual who pursues ambitious goals with absolute certainty, as if already experiencing their future achievement, it creates presence that genuinely intimidates through its unwavering confidence. How does one implement this mental programming methodology? Begin by establishing daily visualization protocols, minimum 20 minutes of uninterrupted mental rehearsal conducted in theta wave state. During these sessions, construct multi-sensory experience of your desired achievement with extraordinary detail. See not just visual components, but incorporate sound, physical sensation, emotional response, and environmental specifics. Most critically,